everybody, I'm Danny Otto. Welcome into an all-new episode of That Recap Show. Now, before we start the episode, just want to issue major spoiler alert. We are going to be going over everything that happened in episode 2 of Marvel's Secret Invasion. So if you haven't seen that episode yet, you may want to pause this video, head over to Disney Plus, check that out, and then come back and enjoy the breakdown. Now, with that out of the way, let's start the show.
Poppin' Off presents That Recap Show.
All right, joining with me to break down everything from episode 2 of Marvel's Secret Invasion, it's Jon Jon Rico.
Hello.
Hello.
How we doing?
Are we gonna have like a safe word moving forward to make sure that neither one of us has been replaced by a skrull?
Boom.
Boom.
I don't know. We say boom a lot on the show.
We do say boom a lot, but if they watched any of the past videos, I feel like then it's a pretty good guess.
True. We probably shouldn't come up with the word on air. Then.
Damn it! All right, we'll think about it. We'll think about it for next week. We'll think about it for next week. This week, we'll just hope neither one of us. I mean, now that goes right into this episode. We find out, holy shit! There's like a million
literally
around. Yeah, holy shit. But that's not even the biggest thing. The biggest thing is Shooter McGavin is an alien, and he always has been.
Well, moron, good for Happy Gilmore. Oh my God!
I knew it. I knew there was something weird with Shooter.
Yeah. Dang it.
But anyway, yeah, I mean, all jokes aside, great episode. I think this is a great follow-up episode. It still has, that tense, that tension throughout the episode that we didn't really have the guessing game of who could potentially be a skrull this episode, because it was kind of very obvious who was a skrull and who was not in this episode. But just having kind of that tense feeling kind of throughout the every interaction and every scene, just kind of everything just always feels tense. It doesn't even have to be going to a meeting or being undercover. It's just the whole show just feels tense at all times. And and I mean that in the best way possible. It's not like, oh, this is hard to watch because it's really tense. I like that. I like that feeling, and I like how the show is always kind of keeping us on our toes, and we are kind of experiencing everything at the same time as Nick Fury is, and at the same time as all of these characters are, type of thing. And yeah, I mean, I think it's a great follow-up episode to the first episode. I'm really excited to see what happens in episode 3. But Rico, what were some of your initial impressions of episode 2?
Yeah, I really enjoyed this episode. Again, the solid follow-up to last week, because again, we only have 6 episodes to go through here, so we have to really go through this kind of fast-paced storytelling. And again, there's a lot of tension building up, but there's a lot of things in this episode I really loved. First of all, I just want to say this show is just such a breath of fresh air for the MCU. I feel like right now, a lot of it is just kind of dealing it with a lot more the fantastical elements, and of course the multiverse elements or the cosmic elements. But here we get a nice, solid, grounded spy show, and it just feels really nice right now for it's something I think the MCU needs, and I think it's a breath of fresh air. One of my favorite scenes of the episode is the scene between Rhodey and Fury when they have that secret meeting, of course, and it ends with the firing of Nick Fury, which was a pretty crazy thing in and of itself, because now you've just kind of let him off the leash, which is pretty intriguing going forward. But I really love the dynamic between those two characters, because I feel like we don't get to see them interact with each other a lot on screen. I don't know if we really have before ever, maybe in short little bursts, but this was really a nice, long, drawn out scene between these two actors who are really great in their own rights. So I really like seeing the back and forth between them. And so yeah, on top of that, this episode had a lot of great like action stuff. We had Gravik taking out some henchmen. We had
Yeah.
which was really awesome. So we get to see how he's just even more of a threat, not just intelligently, but also physically. Like he's a um, very capable scroll, both in combat and in strategy. We also get a little bit more of his backstory too. We get to see,
Right.
him initially meeting Fury and kind of like where the basis of that hate for Fury kind of comes from, right? So I love that too. And yeah, we get some really cool reveals later on this episode, and it really makes you look forward to what's going to happen later on this season.
Yeah. I mean, this episode was really cool, and yeah, just like you said, I mean the Fury and Rhodey interaction, that whole scene, it was really good, and I just love Fury goes, even when I'm out, I'm still in. Watch me, like type of thing. Like, oh, I love that.
I
And
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
no,
But I
no,
really love the scene where he's getting mad at the Slovakian woman, and he goes, "I'm gonna go over there, get in the suit, and carpet bomb everyone." Then he gets on the phone with Fury. We'll just go carpet bomb they.
yeah,
I love these two kind of think on the same wavelength, so I think that's why I love hearing those two kind of go back and forth with each other. Was a lot of fun. But sorry, Dan.
yeah. I'm hoping something changes. Like Rhodey discovers something that gets him back, like on the side with Fury, because
Mhm.
I don't want them to be not pitted against each other. Because I mean, throughout Rhodey's kind of career in the MCU, it's kind of been like he has had to play the straight and narrow path type of thing, and so
Yeah,
sometimes that's gone against Tony. Like even when we had him interacting with Tony Stark and stuff like that, they're best friends, but still at the same time, there were some times where Rhodey was working on the behalf of the U.S. government, and it was against what Tony was doing. So
yeah. He's kind of
he's
the government face of the Avengers, essentially.
exactly, and
Yeah,
so what I'm hoping is there's something that pulls Rhodey to the other side so that he is more like in line with Fury and they can actually, team up and start working together type of thing. Because I don't think they're there
yeah.
right now, but I'd really like to see them get there. Even if it's covertly type of thing. I would really like to see them working together again type of thing. You want to get to some big takeaways?
Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome. All right. Why don't you kick us off with big takeaways?
Okay. So I want to talk a little bit about the Sonya scene where she is interrogating Brogan the Skrull. First of all, I just kind of love the way she like bullies her way into the butcher shop. Even the guy's like, "How'd you get in there? The door's locked." And he goes, "And since I'm in here, it seems to be unlocked now, doesn't it?"
Yes, and now that the door is unlocked, what does that tell you about me indoors?
And like I just love her overall demeanor. I think she's Olivia Colman. She's playing this uh role really well so far. I just love when I get like these really high caliber actors to get into these projects because you get to see them like how talented they are, but in this really cool, MCU setting. And then of course it leads into this scene where she's alone in the room with Brogan and just with no hesitation at all, just immediately cuts off his finger. And she's like, "Oh, okay, we got that settled." And so now we can get into the real nitty gritty, right? So yeah, after this episode, last week I was thinking like maybe she's a scroll, and like so when she got alone in that room with Brogan, I was like, "Oh, are we gonna see the reveal that she's a scroll?" And then she cuts off his finger, and I'm like, I don't think she's a scroll. And then she's obviously trying to get away from Gravik at the end there too. So my thoughts about her possibly being on that side of it were kind of put away as well. So her role as an MI6 agent is going to be very interesting to watch, I think, going forward here for me. But also last week I was kind of talking about how we haven't seen like the scroll invasion with heroes yet, and we kind of get that question
Right.
kind of addressed in this episode in that scene between Fury and Rhodes, where they're like, why haven't we just call our friends? And he's like, well, I can't have like the scroll invasion happen, and then all of a sudden we have these guys fighting like each other because they don't know who to trust, right? So I
Right.
thought, okay, that's a cool like logical way to answer why we haven't seen like the more comic booky version of Secret Invasion happen yet. And so, but it also leads to the other kind of thought I had is like the Secret Invasion is going to start taking place, you know, it politically, right? In all these little different positions of power, and we get that reveal in this episode as well with the secret scroll council that Gravik kind of goes to meet with. We see the head of NATO, we see the prime minister of the UK, And we see some other we see Shooter McGavin, so Chris McDonald,
Yep.
who's kind of like this like Fox Newsy kind of TV
Yeah.
person, CNN type ish, but all like in very powerful positions, like where they can have very high influence on people if they want to. And I think we already we get that first glimpse of them invading high positions of power, which could possibly lead to what you were talking about last week is possibly Rhodey getting captured and getting taken over by a scroll. He could be like their way into the U.S. government, of course, because we don't think we ever saw who they have kind of infiltrating there yet. So that could be something we still have yet to see. But yeah, I think that whole scene with the council was very intriguing with what we learned about what the scrolls were doing at that point.
Yeah, I mean that was a really interesting scene, especially like now that we have, I guess, kind of the council at odds. I mean, it was only that one
Yeah.
person left, and I honestly thought at the end of that scene that like her car was going to blow up or something like that.
Oh, I totally thought she was going to be dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm shocked that nothing, like we didn't just have like a throwaway of her getting in the car and it just like exploding or something like that. I mean, maybe that's going to happen. Because
Did
I
she
can't.
immediately contact Talos at the
Yes.
end there too? And I thought that was really interesting that she chose to contact him like right outside that building because there's still guys standing outside that door could be like, yeah, she called somebody.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess in retrospect that would have worked to the advantage because Talos wants a meeting now.
True,
And
yeah.
so like, I guess that would have just happened
They
even
set that up.
faster
There you go, yeah.
if somebody had just grabbed her phone from her or something like that. But yeah, I mean, that whole thing's really interesting. It's really interesting now, and we can play the game of who is in the United States like political system that could potentially be a scroll. Because I mean, just like we said, now that we know that there are a million scrolls and they've been
all
here
over.
since for years at this point. Yeah, I mean, they could have legit been a politician and worked their way up. They didn't even have to like take a politician that was already there. Like they could have legitimately just worked their way through the political system
Yeah.
and just rose through the ranks type of thing. So, I mean, I think it's going to be a really weird. I'm waiting for a weird reveal. I don't know if it's going to be Rhodey because I feel like Fury has a pretty good grasp of knowing how scrolls act. Like not like he can go that person's a scroll versus that person's not type of thing, but just he knew like their guard, like his detail had some scrolls in it type of thing. Like he immediately knew that. So like I just think like there's something that we don't know that he's able to just pinpoint and be like, okay, that person's probably a scroll type of thing. And he didn't really say anything about Rhodey unless we're gonna get like some crazy reveal that Fury knew all along that Rhodey was a scroll, and that's why like he didn't give a shit what he was really saying, type of thing. But
Yeah.
I mean, we've heard the news like that there is a reveal that's coming that's going to be like earth shattering type of thing.
Mm.
Like, so I'm just like watching every episode going, holy shit, who's it going to be? Who could it possibly be that's a scroll? Like all this craziness. Anyway, big takeaways. I have a few. Not a few. I have a couple. So my biggest question while I was watching, so we did get two flashbacks. We got one from 95, which was like basically the very end of Captain Marvel. And then we get another one from 97. And I think these are both important because, it kind of connects Captain Marvel, like that movie, to the series with the first one. And the second one, we really see kind of how Fury was going to try to his promise. We get to finally see that actual scene, but then we actually got to see him saying like, hey, you're gonna need, if you help me, I'm gonna help you, but also like telling them that they need to stay in disguise type of thing. So in my head I'm like, holy shit, did Fury and Talos basically start the secret invasion? Like they basically started it. They started like keeping the scroll in like taking on like disguises.
Right.
And I think Talos, I think he had all good intentions, but bringing that many more, like contacting them and drawing them all to Earth type of thing.
Yeah.
I think he increased the chances that there was going to be, a rogue group that was going to split off type of thing. So I think, they both basically started it. I think at this point, like they're both to blame, but they both basically started the secret invasion. Like
Oh, for sure.
in '97, they started this. Um, so that was just a really, I think, very small scene, but very impactful to kind of show us, like, oh shit, this is where it started.
Mhm.
But also we got a crazy reveal at the end that I was not expecting. So
Yeah.
I mean, officially, I've got to say it. Boom! Big reveal. Nick Fury has a wife. Nick Fury has a Skrull wife
Yeah.
this whole time. Like
Yeah.
he's been married this whole time because she is from the scene in '97.
Yeah, she's the
That
one that
means-
introduces Gravik to
Yeah,
Fury. Yeah.
exactly. So now there's so many more questions that I have. Like, did they like kind of adopt Gravik and kind of live like as like this kind of family unit, and then all of a sudden there was some like at odds that Fury and Gravik had? Like, this could get really intense because this could be a stand-in father to Gravik. Now we don't know the full relationship that Fury and Gravik have. Now we know, like, when they met, when they first actually met, but we don't know how many layers this really goes. Like, because his wife, like you just said, his wife was the one who brought in Gravik. So I'm wondering if like they kind of raised him for a while, type of thing. Because so this could be almost like a mirror image of kind of what Talos is going through with his daughter. It could almost be like a Fury and Gravik and Talos and his daughter type of thing. Like I think it's really interesting to see, and I'm really interested to see kind of the deeper levels of Gravik and Fury's relationship, because Gravik is so angry that Fury has not come through on his promises. So it's almost on a personal level.
Oh yeah. I was gonna say there's that one scene where Gaia is driving him and he's just saying, like, I could have killed him if I wanted to. And he goes, I was just looking at him, and he goes, he's just old. And you could just tell that there's there's like a personal thing there where he's talking about it's not just kind of like, oh, it's Fury, like the guy that we all were promised to. Like it seems like it's just more personal to him.
Right. And so I'm really interested. I hope we get more flashbacks, and I hope we just get like a deeper understanding of what their relationship has been moving forward, type of thing. And I'm just really interested to see that. Also, last thing I have to mention is we are still on Goose Watch. I was really hoping that when Fury walked into the house to see his wife, I was really hoping that Goose was gonna like come up to him and like rub on his leg like a normal house cat type of thing.
Yeah.
Perfect scene for that. Come on, Marvel. That was like the perfect scene for that. I was like, oh my God, we're gonna see Goose. Like I was so excited when he walked into that house, but nothing. Still no Goose. We're 2 episodes out of 6 in, and no Goose yet. But I'm holding just out. I'm holding hope that we're gonna potentially see a Goose. But anyway, you want to get to some predictions?
Let's do it.
Awesome. All right. I'm going to kick off predictions. Mine's pretty quick. And I think it's going to go into something that we were talking about last week, and it's going to connect to kind of your prediction. So I think it's like the perfect entry to this is, I think what we're seeing, what we saw the scientists working on that Gaia was digging more into, is we are basically seeing the MCU's like origin of Super Skrull. Like we were wondering like if somebody was going to turn out to just be one all of a sudden, but now we're kind of seeing that origin of how it's going to start. Now I don't know how it's going to get there, but I just think it's really interesting that we're seeing that. And I'm very interested to see kind of where it goes, and if we get multiple, or if it ends up just being one person, or if it all fails in general. But it's very interesting to kind of see how the MCU is leading into an origin of something that we were talking about last week already, type of thing. But Rico, what were some of your predictions moving forward?
Yeah, so this episode, in terms of Gaia's storyline, we get to see kind of her kind of watching Gaia, or not watching Gaia, watching Gravik from a distance, kind of figuring out what he's doing, and kind of seeing what the bigger plan is that he's trying to accomplish. And of course, she uncovers like this big machine that like he's building, of course, and the scientist that he has working for him. And then of course she's on the computer and she uncovers some files for some very odd creatures. Of course, the one is being Groot, the other being Cole Obsidian from the Black Order, of course, Thanos's group, and then the other one was the Frost Beast, which This was actually very interesting to me because this is actually like kind of tying up a Thor 2 post-credit scene that just never was answered. Like it's an unanswered question basically from that. It's like, what happened to the random frost giant beast or frost beast that got loose on Earth and then like was never addressed again? Yeah, that's basically what it is. And so it seems like the scrolls have basically got a hold of it and are like harvesting its DNA because you see the one scroll, I don't know his name, but he comes back and he's like, okay, nothing on my harvest. Like I got to go find these other spots. And so they're obviously looking for other like powered DNA to kind of, mold into this super scroll DNA serum that they're kind of doing, like you were talking about. And, I think at the end of the day that like Gravik has to be the one because he is like the big bad of this series, I would say. And the idea of him just kind of like possessing these other powers just kind of seems like his end goal
Mm.
to become even more powerful to take over this world for his people, right? And so I think that's very interesting to see, what other like DNA could be out there for him to add to this arsenal that he's building to be this like ultimate weapon. Like imagine that you got like cold powers with the frost beast, and you have like come some kind of like durability stuff with like the skin of Cold City, and I would imagine. So there's got to be different factors that he's looking to take. So I'm very curious to see if we can think of other ones that are out there that he could possibly take for his own and add to make him even more stronger.
Yeah, I'm and like I understand where they got the samples for DNA from the other two, but where did they get the Groot DNA samples?
That's the one I've always worried about too. Unless like he's left samples of himself from like the battles on Earth, like when Thanos invaded. That's the only thing I can really think of.
Yeah, but even then, it's like I would just think it just looks like trees. It just looks like a field of broken wood at that point. Like
Yeah.
I
But
wouldn't
if
think
if
it's like
there are
a
agencies getting a hold of it, then the scrolls are probably thinking like, we have all this interesting stuff to go off to. There's a lot of weird technology out there, like within the MCU world now, through all these interactions that superheroes have had. So it's like all this stuff just probably seems really normal for them.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's the crazy part. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's really interesting to think about of like what other harvests they've been going on to look. Basically, it's really interesting to think about, and I wonder if this is kind of slowly going to bring in like the mutants type of thing. Like, oh, we
Mm.
found so and so and so and so, and then we go, oh shit,
There you go.
that's
Mutant blood, right? Yeah.
exactly. So like the sky's the limit. I mean, this series is turning into like these little reveals that could mean really big things in the MCU in general moving forward type of thing. So
Absolutely.
it's really cool to see. But as we always say, that's what we think. Let us know in the comments below. What did you think of episode 2 of Secret Invasion? And what other, I guess, super powered beings could they be harvesting? Let us know in the comments. Like, if you can think of any that would be on Earth that they would be trying to get DNA samples from. Now, I'm not saying that they have to be dead. I'm not saying that, they have to, kill them or anything like that. But like, let's really think about this. If you can find some in the comments, we'll read them next week on for recap for episode 3. And as always, don't forget, like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to hear about all of our latest audio and video podcast releases. Bye, everybody!
Poppin' Off presents That Recap Show.